Whoa, we are already up to the 14th part. Before we get started, as always, I want to thank Irresistibles for sponsoring today's video and for all of you guys for tuning in and watching. Just to recap where we've been at, I wanted to show you all of the colors we've used. So we've used our primary colors, the primary red, yellow, and blue. And then we had added in some of our pre-mixed colors, the light purple, raspberry mottle, the veins and undertones, crimson, magenta pink, and the neutralizer green. Today, I wanted to add the rose lips. This is a really pretty color, just to give it a little bit more of that pinky tone to it. So we can do a couple of different things with that, which I'm going to show you momentarily. But I wanted to let you know what we've done with each of these colors. We had done texture layers with our primary colors, and then with our light purple, we had done texture with our sea sponge. The raspberry mottle, we had done a wash. Veins and tones are explanatory. Crimson we used as our base blushing. Magenta pink we did for modeling, and green we did some modeling. And then we had moved on to the primary red, doing some stipple, and then we had done, let's see here, a wash using our light purple again, and then we had gone over our creases with the primary blue. The one level I did forget to mention is that we also had added the red violet level right after our primary colors, and we had done a model layer with that. So we did a lot of texture, a few models, we've done the base of our blushing, we've done some stippling, we've done our veining, so we are making huge progress. Today, after looking at our peanut, I decided I want to add a little bit more depth. Had to readjust the light. I realized, why can't I see very good? Anyways, I want to add a little bit more depth, so I want to do another layer, but we're going to use this rose lips color. This will be a really pretty color to give it a little bit more enhancement, but I also want to go over blushing, so we're going to do 1 to 2 layers of our rose lips, and then we're going to do some of our blushing. All right, what I want to do is I am going to add our rose lips by doing an actual model layer with this. And then we're going to go over the face with some more stippling to enhance some of that blushed areas. And I'm going to grab my lovely sponge that I wanted to use. I think we're going to do this cool one that we had made using our wood burning tool. So it makes kind of a snaky appearance to it. It's really pretty. But you can see we've already built up some really nice coloring. She is looking great, or he is looking really great. So I'm going to move him aside for a minute. Just to recap again, we're going to do the same mixture or mixing ratio that we've done for just about everything. Equal parts of our pigment to our liquid thin with a couple drops of thinner just to make it have a little bit more glide. Now, I haven't used it for a little bit, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up a little bit and stir that up. Give it a good mix so that way if there's any separation of the pigment, we can have it nice and creamy and reflect that true color. Get all of that off of my popsicle stick. Not a drop wasted. Add just a little bit more. So it's about the size of a pea. And we're going to add equal parts of our liquid thin. So about a size of a pea. And always you mix it with the liquid thin first before adding your thinner. It will mix a lot easier and have more of a creamy consistency to it, where I find if I mix it with my thinner first, it takes a little bit more work or effort to get everything emulsified. Now, move this out of the way. I always keep a little paper towel on my lap too, just in case. A few drops of our thinner. Try that first, see where we're at. I'm super excited to get this peanut wrapped up, and I want to see you guys' work, so make sure you comment below and see if you can. I don't know if you can upload pictures in the comments or not, but if you can, do it. I'd love to see it, and I'm sure everyone else would. Add a couple more, because I can already tell that it's not quite gonna be thin enough where we want it to have a little bit more of a runniness on our plate. Little bit more, one more drop. Oop, okay, that was 2 more, much better. There we go. You want it to have that nice glide. Then I'm gonna take my mixing brush, my 1/4 inch flat brush that we're gonna use to apply it to our sponge and just get that excess off our squeegee. Set that there. Oops, here I got a nice clean paper towel and I've already made a mess. Use our little 1/4 inch flat brush and very lightly apply it to the surface of that sponge. I'm not going to get into details about the sponge itself because you'll be able to go back in the videos and see that information. But if you do have extra questions, don't hesitate to let me know and I'll do the best I can in answering them. I'm going to start with the head and I'm going to start at the back. I'm not going to go right at the base yet. I'm going to start just at the occipital, doing more of a random pattern. Getting as close to behind the ear as I can. And I'm going to work in sections. Once I get that first section down, we're going to take our lovely little dry brush and I'm going to tap that out just to give it more of a blotchy appearance. I don't want to have real defined circles or anything like that. So by tapping it out with our dry brush, it'll have a much more natural appearance. There we go. Working it in real good. That looks really nice. See how nice that looks? All right, I'm gonna get just a little bit more for the top of the head. Make sure whatever sponges you use are really dense sponges. I have the links in the description to all the tools, excuse me, to all the tools that we've used over time, so you'll be able to go check those out. Doing a twisting motion, a little bit more spaced out. Go through the top of the head. Through there. And soften that out. If you wanted to skip doing the dry brush, you certainly could, but I really like the appearance of more of a blotchy texture versus that real defined model look. I pick up a little bit more of our color. And when you're applying your color onto the surface of that sponge, be very light about it, because if you're real heavy about it, you're gonna end up having that color get into the crevices of areas that it's not even gonna transfer onto the doll, so then you're wasting your color. Be a little bit more lighter handed with it. And then, now that we've got the top, I'm gonna go through and bring that down to the border of around the face. Go right through the sides through here. Bring it down, under the chin. I'm gonna hit the ear, the back of the ear, just a little bit. And I know everyone's probably freaking out saying, you know, you're not supposed to put model on the ears and the face and blah, blah, blah. Well, I like to do that because when we use our dry brush, it softens everything out. If you're having trouble, like I'm having trouble getting in behind the ear, that's where you're gonna pick up your round brush. And this one is a number 9. And you're gonna do a little bit of stippling behind that ear so you can get into those creases really good. But we're still gonna dry brush it out. So don't get me wrong. We just want to have it have a nice texture and we don't miss anything. So for behind the ear, you want to get your smaller dry brush and just pat that out very nicely. Looking good. And then we're gonna get our larger brush and pat that out, doing the perimeter. I'm gonna creep it in just a little bit. I'm not gonna pick up any extra color though, because I don't want it to be really, really bold. I just want it to be real soft as it comes in here. I'm gonna go into the crease and the upper lip just by using the corner of my sponge, and then I'm gonna rock over the nose a little bit, just the tip and right through there. Okay, set that aside. I'm gonna tap that out. Okay, that's looking really good. Move my dry brushes over. Using the same mixture, I'm gonna use I gotta get rid of saying certain keywords. I just realized I say I'm gonna a lot, so I gotta work on that. Let's use our round brush with a stippling motion. So you're gonna just tap a little bit on your plate, making sure it's not a lot. We're gonna go in and emphasize that blushing on the cheeks. I'm gonna do it real lightly. Carry it up into the bridge of the nose, bringing it down and up towards the side. So you're essentially doing a model texture through here, but we've got the colors so tight together that it's going to be more of a softer appearance. I'm going to get my dry brush and I'm going to press that out because I don't want it to dissipate too much. And I want to have a little bit more of that texture. So just pressing it a little bit. There we go. That looks good. See how it's got that really nice texture around the cheeks? So you still see that little bit of model appearance, but it's more of a blotchy appearance versus an actual model. Go in on the opposite side. Pull it up on the bridge a little bit. However you like your blushing, you can do. If you feel that you don't want to do as much blushing on the cheeks and you want it more just real lightly, do it more lightly. You don't have to put it in the same areas that I'm doing. This is just how I'm doing this kit. Now, I don't want her to have like a white area around her eye either, so very lightly I'm drawing that up a little bit towards the eye and a little bit towards that upper lip. And I'm not picking up any more color either. Okay, press that out a little bit. You're pressing that edges. That looks really cute. Little Rosie. Pick up a little bit more. I'm gonna do the chin. Just a little bit. Press that out. Get my smaller dry brush. You're doing more of the perimeter of the areas that you're applying. If you apply the dry brush to the center of the areas, which I did a little bit on the cheeks, that's gonna cause the pigment to disperse a little bit more, so that color is gonna overlap. It will eventually look just like one color. If you want it to have more texture, do a lighter pressure on the center of that pigmented areas and do a little bit more heavier pressure on the outside so it has more of a feathered appearance on the outside and a more textured appearance on the inside. I want her to have a little bit more of a rosy nose, so we're gonna go around, almost like around in a circle, because I want to have a little tidbit of that yellow coming through. And I'm gonna draw that up the bridge of the nose and down. And this is where, if you wanted to have more of a stork bite, you can do more tapping and have your spacing further apart, so that way you can emphasize that. And I'm gonna press that out just a little bit. We're gonna leave that little bit more of a stork bite look. I kind of like that. And hit the top of the ear a little bit here. This is where you go through and double check any areas that you need a little bit more color. Add a little bit more here or there, wherever you need to see a little bit more, or wherever you want to see a little bit more. looks good. Go above that lip just a little bit. And then let's get our smaller dry brush, even smaller, and press that out. That's so cute. Let's go over the forehead a little bit. Bringing that down and bringing that up. I'm almost letting the brush bounce in my hands and slip through my fingers so that I have more of a softer texture. The tighter I grip onto my brush, the more of that pigment is going to be dispersed. If you're letting it bounce in your hand and you're holding it real softly, it'll have a lot better of that stippled appearance. Now, I'm gonna use my big brush and I'm gonna go over one time with a little bit of a rocking motion. I'm pretty happy with that. I like that. I want her to be a little bit, or I keep saying her, I want him to have a little bit more blotchy skin. If this is too heavy for you, then continue dry brushing until it's at the right texture that you want to see. Just blend it out a little bit more, but I really like that blotchiness. All right, hit the eyebrow a little bit. I love the appearance of when babies get those little red eyebrows. So you're going kind of on the brow bone, press that out. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna put her on the rack and allow her to sit while we're working on the other babies, but you can already see how nicely that color looks as it's flashed off here. And because we have a couple drops of our thinner in there, remember to check on it occasionally before you go on to the next layer, because what will happen is that that thinner will flash out and then you'll see that the color is really suspended, leaving your liquid thin and your pigment behind. So then it gets too concentrated on the rest of the limb. So because it's already flashed, I'm going to add a few drops just to reconstitute that. Give it a little bit more glide, mixing that up. Just use your mixing brush, that will work just fine. There we go. See how nice it runs on the plate? Now let's pick up our texture sponge, add that pigment to it, and let's get the next limb. All right, we're gonna start with this cute little leg. My fingers to cooperate. I'm gonna start very lightly with the back of the thigh, going through here. Go around. I'm gonna kind of go around the knee. I'm not gonna focus on the knee right now. Go back down through the heel and the back of the leg a little bit. Turning it over, doing the opposite side. I don't need to pick up any additional color. There's plenty of color left on my sponge. Do a little bit of a rocking motion on the top of the foot and over the toes a little. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about the bottom of the feet too much. I'll go over the edge a little bit. And hit the toes because we're gonna do that anyways. Now I'm gonna take my dry brush, tap that out. I'm gonna add a little bit more here and right through there. That's looking really good. Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit more on the shin through here. Now let's take our stipple brush. I'm gonna go over through the toes and I'm gonna hit those toes. I hit a little bit of the bottom of the foot. Kind of drawing that pigment out. Hit the sides of those toes and the top of the toes. I keep forgetting I float out of view, so I'm sorry if I did that. Okay, that looks super cute. Just checking, make sure that it looks good. All right, now I'm gonna hit that knee just a little bit. Give that a little bit more pop with our blushing, starting with the center of the knee and working it out and then drawing it where it kind of spreads up the leg or up the thigh and feathers away towards the back of the leg. Bringing it down the shin just a little bit. Pull it down even more. There we go. I'm gonna go right on the edges. Do a little bit of a rocking motion. I'm not gonna hit the center as much. Here we go. That looks good. Very, very nice. Okay, I'm gonna set this leg aside and I'm gonna move on to the arm. Okay, double check your pigment. Add a drop. Okay, stir that up. See how little of paint you need? It goes such a long ways and it really gives the baby a lot of color quicker. Tap that on. Let's start with the underside of the arm. I don't go really close to the flange. I go kind of up to it and that's about it. Turning my limb over, making sure I got everything. Okay, turn that limb over. Go down the forearm and the top of the arm. Top of the hand, over the fingers a little bit, go on the edges of the palm. Now tap that out. It's very simple, but this is a really great color to add a lot of depth real quickly. And then after we do this, we're gonna hit it with our stipple brush. Okay. That looks good. Grab our little stipple brush. Hit the tips of the fingers. Get that little thumb hiding in there. Sides of the fingers. Uh-oh, somebody wants to go outside. All right. That one looks good already. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna very lightly hit underneath the pads, just do like a single stroke to enhance that blushing you had put down your base blushing. Hit some of the edges through there and then pull it up towards the top of the palm of the hand. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna take my dry brush. I see a couple of spots that got close to the crease that I want to soften a bit. There we go. Hit those fingers a little bit more. Okay, I think I like that. All right, guys, that looks good. So you're gonna go on to doing the other leg and the other arm. Then go ahead and bake it. Make sure you preheat your ovens and bake that for 10 minutes. Once that's baked and totally cooled, then I want to go back and we're gonna do a second layer of that crimson, and that's really gonna create more of a pop. That's really, really cute. I love that. All right, and we'll be back. Guys, we are back. So we've gotten that first layer of the rose lips color baked on. I'm gonna show you the legs. So it's just a very, very nice color. Gives it a little bit more oomph. However, I do want to do another layer just to give it a little bit more of a pop. I like a lot of color, but if you're happy with where you're at, you can go ahead and stop and just wait for us to catch up to you, and then we'll move on to the next layer. However, for the sake of time, I'm not going to do the whole next layer on camera just because you already know what to do, and this video is already running at a good length and I don't want to make it ungodly long. So you guys go ahead and do that second layer if that is what you like to see. I'm going to do a second layer. While you're doing that second layer, go through and hit any of the areas that you feel like needs a little bit more touch of color. Usually I double check like the ears. You might want to hit the lips a little bit, inside the ear canal or inside the nose. Any area that you want to add a little bit more color, add a little bit more depth, then go ahead and hit it with that rose lips. Once you get done with that, we're going to bake that layer, and then after that we'll move on to the next step, which will be going into more details. All right, guys, we are almost done. I so appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't become a member yet, jump onto your desktop version of your YouTube and you'll be able to see a join now button where you can click on it and choose a level that's right for you, where we will have a little bit more perks and fun things. However, I do appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you again, Irresistibles, for sponsoring today's video, and thank you to all of you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.